evening and welcome to the Laughing Monkey. Greg, how are you doing, man?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on, Sean.
Well, I've loved you playing. Well, originally when you were a young man in Hüsker,
Yep.
and you've done a lot of other bands and projects, and even had a restaurant for a while. Well, we can dip back and forth. But we want to talk about UltraBomb, your newer band, is third album, I believe, right? And a
Correct.
couple lineup changes. So you've got a lot going on, and let's talk about the new album and the shows first. Let's before we get sidetracked. All right.
Sure.
At this point, you are touring. Are you touring mostly the new album? Are you kind of mixing it up, or like what are you doing for songs?
Uh, well, we'll be playing all 11 songs off the new album, and there'll be a couple
Oh, I like
other
that.
older uh, Ultra Bomb songs in the mix, maybe a Hüsker do tune or two in there as well. Uh, but the main focus is to get out there and showcase the new album and the new lineup.
I love the fact you're gonna do all new music. Not a lot of bands can come out there, and maybe it's because of the genre. You can get away with coming out and doing a lot of original and new stuff rather.
Uh-huh.
Whereas some bands, when you do a second and third album, you're kind of stuck in doing a certain set list, and you can only do a few songs.
Right. It's that is true. A lot of bands kind of, hit on what they think is their formula for success,
Hmm.
and then they kind of continue to try to recreate that with whatever they move on to, and they're just rehashing the same thing. Uh Ultrabomb has never been a nostalgia act. We're not trying to recreate something that's already been done before. We're trying to push forward with originals that they're original and they're fresh, and we want to keep our focus is on moving forward in the future, not rehashing the past.
How does the audience react to that? Because I mean, like your first album, of course, if you're a new band, you got new music for people that's fresh. But going to the third thing, are fans going, "Hey, I wanted some of the first album," or are they pretty cool about just moving forward?
Uh
Is that just kind of like if you set a precedent for like the fans, like if you're a fan, this is going to happen type of deal?
yeah, with the first two albums, when Penny and Jamie were in the band, we only managed to get out on the road just a couple of times, and
Okay.
and frankly, those shows weren't really that well attended. Uh, I think this new record is going to get us a lot of new fans.
Hmm.
Uh, it's getting really great reviews, and the response from people that have heard it has been great. So uh, I believe people are going to want to hear the new stuff. We will mix in a few of the older songs as well, but the emphasis is on the new stuff. Even back in with Husker Du, Husker was a band that was very prolific. We were
Oh yeah.
constantly writing new material, and uh, we just kind of got into this habit of constantly working new stuff into the set, and quite often, particularly at least through the SST years, we were touring the record that we were about to record as opposed to the record that just came out,
Yeah.
and that was a lot of fun. Actually, Ultra Bomb is already we're already working on some new stuff as well, and hoping to have even newer songs in the mix for these upcoming tours.
I love that, and I can imagine it's gonna be almost more exciting, at least for the artist, to be playing newer stuff, even newer learn stuff each time, because you're not doing the Groundhog Day thing. Some people love doing the same music. Some people get bored. Some people want a different thing. But I would think I would love it, because
Yeah.
it's challenging because you're still learning. It's still fresh. It's still creating. And are you? And also, I'll make it two parts. So actually, the question would be from this is when you're doing this, are you writing new stuff on the road, playing it live, and working out the kinks to it, and going kind of like it this way? You know what I'm saying? Or are you kind of just writing it and then putting it out there?
We will be writing new material while we're on the road and working stuff out in sound checks. And if we feel that it's ready, we'll put it in the set. And if it needs to be tweaked a little bit, we can do that.
Mhm.
Uh, it's very efficient working that way with the goal of getting into the studio. So by the time you get there, you've got it all worked out. You know exactly how the songs are going to go. And also from a fan standpoint, it brings that element of surprise to the show. It's like, well, what are
Yeah,
we going to hear tonight? And I think that's really exciting.
I love that, and I like the fact that I think as I've talked to a lot of bands through the years, it feels like doing it that way has always caused the long-term happiness of an album. Like they've had time to work on it, you know, soak it in, change it a little bit. That's supposed to when you go in the studio, which works great for some bands. I'm not knocking them, saying, but more often than not, bands have been working on it on the road and or touring and rehearsing it before they go in there are generally more happy years down the road of what they put out than just writing it in what a month or 2 months on the spot and then recording it because it gives you more time to kind of live with it.
Yeah. Well, uh, this new UltraBomb album is a departure from the first two, just in the fact of how it was recorded. The first two albums literally were written in the studio.
Right, exactly.
Like all the music was written in the first 2 days, and then after the music was created, the layers, uh, the lyrics were kind of like, here, try these lyrics with this song. I think this is going to work. And the first album, Time to Burn, was definitely serendipity and lightning in a bottle, and
Hmm.
we were like, holy crap, we just wrote a punk rock classic. And Dying to Smile, recorded the same way. In my opinion, we got lucky the second time
Yeah.
that it worked as well as it did. And with Time to Burn, or not Time to Burn, with the Bridges That We Burn, we had the opportunity to actually, like, fully formulate the songs, and the music was written specifically with the lyrics in mind. And I think it made a huge difference on this record. There's a lot more intention to it, and I couldn't be happier with how it turned out.
That's great. And I love it's you've also changed members. The first two albums were really good. I know Ryan in particular because I've had him on the show before. Fantastic player. I don't know the other members well yet,
Uh-huh.
from work. So I'm kind of really, I'm excited to see the future growth of this band with all you guys working together as you know each other's ins and outs more and more over the years. I hope it's a lasting thing. You know,
Yes, so do I. Yep.
I was so the pain
Yeah.
if to reformat a band could be like one of the worst things ever. Um, but at a certain point, having other professionals come in and out at this point in your career, it's got to be a little easier because you can kind of you know what you're doing at this age. You know what you want. There's less ego, less wasted time of I'm not on the same page. Let's just not do it, or let's just do it. You know what I mean? You can kind of manipulate what you exactly want. It's not the same. Maybe I mean you've already gone to the far end of it with Hüsker of all the other stuff. I think at this point in your life you're like I don't need any of that at this point. I just want to have fun.
Right.
And is the goal to try doing as much touring as possible with the band?
It That's definitely the goal. Of course, Ryan is still the lead guitar player in Soul Asylum, so we need to work our tour schedule around their tour schedule. Uh, but in a way, I really like how this year is setting up. Instead of one really long tour where we play everywhere,
Mm-hmm.
we're out for, like, 2 weeks here, home for a while, out for another week, back home.
Yep.
Uh, Basically, we're looking at 4 or 5 different, short runs this year, but it should get us all over the country and in Canada. So I'm really excited about that. And also, of course, Ryan, uh, when we're off, he's off on the road with Soul Asylum. Uh, but Ryan's definitely one of the hardest working guys in music. and he thrives on it. And I'm just really happy that we're going to be hitting the road and playing these songs for everybody.
He's a
Having,
good dude too. So he's a
yep,
talented guy himself. So this is exciting. The collaboration,
yeah,
you know.
yeah. He's a great songwriting partner. I'm really excited to continue to work on new songs with him. It's really inspirational to me to work on lyrics and get them to a point that I'm happy with it and send it off to Ryan and
Mhm.
see what he kind of hears musically to what I've written.
What's always interesting to me is you've always had this really great bass sound, and I've always it stands out and draws a line, and it maybe just come where you came from because to me, within the Hüsker, the drums could be frantic and the vocals could be frantic, but you kind of many times felt like you were the glue of the song, the guide, the guidepost, and I mean that in the most positive way. I've always loved your tone as a guiding piece, a separate piece. Because a lot of times basses get kind of buried, and you weren't really that kind of an issue. But now being more involved, because I mean you had two other guys doing a lot of powerful songwriting and dynamics. How is songwriting for you now to be able to do it? I mean, the challenge is it different for you? Are you taking what you've learned over the years? Because you've been in other bands too, Work Right Free and other things, but this is kind of really a thing that it's all you really. You've guided it. You've been the captain for all the journeys.
Yeah. I yeah, I really feel like things are really coming into focus musically for me. Working with Ryan, it makes it a lot easier to get my ideas to into the recording studio and Husker News started out, we were all friends and we were all just learning how to be in a band and learning how to write music. And as it turns out, I was in a band with two of the best songwriters that were out there. Bob was so prolific and still is. Uh, Definitely as the band got bigger and we signed to Warner Brothers, the friendship sort of uh, drifted apart and it became more business. And, you know, in Hüsker, we always said, as long as we're having fun, we're going to keep doing this. And,
Yeah,
by the end of '87, it wasn't that much fun anymore. So I think the breakup of the band was inevitable. It's
oh yeah.
just
I can't believe you did
sad.
as much as you did. So you guys
Yeah,
got a lot done in that short time,
yep. It's sad the way it went down.
of course.
But definitely. I mean, I did branch off and start an entirely new career as a chef uh, for about 20 years, and I went 14 years without even picking up a bass. But once I started playing again, I realized how much of music is to me, to
Right.
my well-being and my mental health and just my overall joy. So getting back, I just turned 67 a couple of months ago. So being
Wow.
at a point where I can focus on music and it just really makes me happy. So and
I like.
hopefully it's making other people happy as well.
I think so. I mean, the songs are great. I mean, that's why we're talking. I want, I mean, there's enough. Who's could do biographies and things out there to talk about. Just if they want to focus on that, I'm talking about you because I like the new stuff. I mean, I like talking about the old stuff, but I mean, I want people to check out the new stuff. And hopefully, I'll be able to see you live at some point, on tour. What's really neat is to me, and it's funny, it's not comparing like to the Beatles by any means, but what's neat is in that short period of time with the Beatles imploded, they did a lot of different music.
Yes.
You guys were very similar. A lot of strong songwriters, two very strong songwriters. I mean, and you got George Harrison was like the third songwriter, right? Look what a
Right.
songwriter he was. He was amongst because of the power struggle. I mean, when you have that much power and over songwriting and just even if you knew you were good stuff, it just is always hard. So this is in a way such a like a second life for you in a way that's allowing you to take everything you've learned and become, the
Yeah.
songwriter and creator that you had in you.
Well, I always thought it was interesting that, George Harrison's first solo record after the Beatles was a 3 record set.
Right?
Yeah.
He had a lot
A,
to say.
a 3 disc box set. All things must pass. I remember reading how, George Harrison was talking about uh, the song "While My Guitar Gently Weeps" and how he thought like he had like this really, really great song, and when he brought it into the studio, basically John and Paul gave him about 10, 15 minutes, and then they went off to do their own stuff. Uh, but by no means do I think I am a George Harrison, but definitely, uh, towards the end of Hüsker,
I
it
get what
was
you're
it
saying.
was difficult for me to bring material forward,
Right.
uh, because Bob and Grant were kind of in this, songwriting competition between the two of them. So it was hard to get them to take any of my stuff seriously. And so UltraBomb, Vinnie McConnell, who, he did contact me and contact uh, Jamie Oliver, the drummer, not the chef, the other Jamie Oliver, to
Oh,
start.
that's the next album though, right? You get the stuff for you. You can tie both your careers together.
Oh, there we go. Yep. But his whole idea was, he wanted to start a band where I could, finally like, step forward and shine, and have the Ultra Bomb be a showcase for what I'm bringing.
Mhm.
Uh, Unfortunately, it didn't work out with Jamie due to visa issues, and that's where Derek O'Brien entered the picture and took over on drums. And unfortunately, Finney and I had a disagreement over how we needed to get the band uh, better known so that we could,
Mhm.
get out on bigger tours and fill rooms on our own. And he decided to step aside. Lucky for me, Ryan Smith has been a friend for a long time, and he saved a show of ours in St. Paul, Minnesota, in February of 2025. And after that show, Derek and I were like, "Well, we need a guitar player, and the job is yours if you want it." He talked it over with Pony, his wife, and talked it over with the Soul Asylum guys, and he's like, "I'm in,"
Yeah,
and I couldn't be happier.
that's right. Because he also does a project with his wife too. I remember he came on. He had an album, or something, right? Didn't that actually
Yeah,
her name is in it too in the title of the group.
yeah, Ryan and Pony.
Yes, that was
Yeah,
the album I think they had
and
out.
right, and then also, they also have another band called Melismatics that are,
Oh,
still
yes,
active and playing. So, uh, yeah, like I said, I'm not kidding when I say Ryan's definitely one of the hardest working guys in showbiz, but it's true. Also,
I
one of the
can't believe it.
nicest guys.
Yeah, I agree. No, I agree. That's why when I saw that him being part of the band, I was like, oh, this is what a great project or a band. What do you want to call it at this point? You know what I'm saying? What a great group of musicians to be together. Um, do you think? Obviously, you're driven by art and creativity, and you're finding bass, but then when you switch to food for a while, was food driving creativity force for you? Like, did it take a place of music? Like, did it allow you to get the inner creativity? Because I mean, for people that don't do music for a living, you can be inspired by doing, I don't know, your taxes. For some people like to do that. Like everyone has different things that inspire them, and some people they can transfer that feeling, and that's what I'm kind of seeing if you were able to like go from one to the other. Then again,
It definitely was, fed a creative um, spot for me. Writing menus. I got talked into the back of the house by uh, my dear friend Lenny Russo, who's one of the top chefs in Minnesota. He was a perennial James Beard, best chef of the Midwest award nominee, but generally always losing out to somebody either in Chicago or Kansas City. But Lenny brought me back and he goes, "Well, first off, you've got a really great palate. That's something that you can't teach people, and you've got a really good aptitude for just this whole, you know, how this whole thing works. To me, there were a lot of similarities between working in kitchens and playing rock and roll or punk rock. You know, it's the cast of characters, the hours.
Yeah,
You
I can
know,
see that. That's what's going actually with this question because
yeah,
it
for
totally
sure.
sounds like it's a home for you.
Yeah, and then you know, writing menus and in a way, it's not like you're writing a song. You know, and I would never consider myself as a chef, as an artist, but you know, I did have a good aptitude for it, and I really loved it, and it was a lot of fun. Um, Actually, I think one of the best compliments I ever got on my restaurant was Grant Hart in an interview uh, was asked about me being out of music and working in restaurants, and Grant said Greg's cooking and his restaurant is to food what Hüsker Du was to music. And I was like, oh, thanks, buddy. That's sweet.
That's nice. That is nice. I think. Well, actually, with you writing menus though, if it's like writing a song, you got a short period of time, you get someone's attention to get your point across. You want to make it appealing. There's generic versions, like we all can just read the generic version of the thing,
Yeah,
or you can kind of write it to draw somebody and go, "That sounds delicious. I wouldn't have that." You know, that's a rare thing. To look at a menu and
yeah,
say, I do that sometimes. To one place near me, I'm like, I wouldn't eat that, but they really write that really well. It sounds good. Let's try it.
yeah. Well, you know, it's you know, looking at what you have for ingredients to you know, create a dish. You want it to be balanced. You want it to, you know, to hit all the right notes and all that. And sometimes you hit on a couple of flavor combinations that might sound like really crazy, but in the long run, it works and
Yeah.
people love it. So yeah, it was definitely a lot of fun.
And like music, it's a rough life. It's a high burnout period. It's a hard, it
Oh,
crushes people
definitely.
because it's,
Yep.
you know, I don't think I realized it myself until I started reading, you know, some books on them and it were written about it and like realizing what a rough life it is to
Yeah,
run a
you know,
restaurant, to
definitely,
be a chef.
you know, burnout, mental health issues, you know, substance abuse. I would say uh, both careers, you know, those numbers are overly high. Uh, but you know, it's also there's a lot of community there, uh, family. You know, punk rock to me has always been about community and
Hmm.
helping others besides just, you know, great music. So uh, yeah.
I'm sure from your view, you know, challenges through all this stuff in your life, but looking from an outside view, it seems like you were really in some really special situations. And the fact that you escaped each of those situations, and I may escaped with no like serious crippling addictions or like real huge problems. That's music, and then you were able to do that restaurant. And you go, and you were able to be back intact again and healthy enough to go back into doing music again. And you know, a lot of people can't do that. They just burn out. You know, so that says a lot probably to who you were before everything started. Who you could keep who you were. You know,
Yep.
and just I will also say part of the community of each of those situations you were in that allowed you to probably continue to be you, maybe.
Uh, yeah, I like to say, you know, punk rock has saved my life a couple of times. So, you know, it is getting back to that community, those friends, your fans. Uh, you know, for me, being out on the road and playing music for people you know, that it just fills my heart with a
Yeah.
lot of joy and, uh, you know, making making records and getting records released. I think, you know, what you record is always like a snapshot in time of where a particular band is at that point. But it's the live show and the unpredictability and the element of surprise and what's going to happen. Uh, you know, that's a lot of fun. Uh, I've never really been a fan of going to see a band that basically lays down their live set exactly, you know, sounding exactly like the studio
Right.
record did. Uh, there's no there's no element of surprise there. It's like, oh, okay, I could have just listen to this at home.
which some people like and some people don't. And I get
Yeah.
that too. I'm generally open for a lot of different things. I'd rather have a surprise, when I see a band. I'd rather see something I'm not going to hear at home because
Yep.
I can hear it at home, you know. Um, with all those changes, because you were one of the first bands that really broke the mold. Not about mold joke, but the mold as far as switching over from alternative or whatever they want to call it at the time. It was an alternative, making it more commercial. You guys led the way. For the Nirvanas and everyone else, the bigger record labels. But you guys did a lot. It was a lot of the punk ethos. But so you did that more ground roots than a lot of people. But then coming back, there's other in between times. But from then to like right now, these past couple of years, how much music's changed. Do you think it's as hard but just different, or just totally off the wall different? You know what I'm saying? I mean, everything's different at different times of life. But have the new changes to the music field, are they equally different as hard? You know what I'm saying? Is it like just swapping something different, or is it just totally just another world now?
Uh, the creative process and playing live, that hasn't really changed a whole lot. The things that have changed are the way people discover music now is, social media. Instead of like every town having a record store where you hung out at to hear
Mm-hmm.
new stuff and find out what shows are coming, that's all been replaced. And now you have to feed this algorithm. And if you don't massage the algorithm in the right way, you don't get, your posts don't populate into people's feeds. Or if you over post like the same content, again, you get knocked down in the algorithm and stuff like that. People go online to stream your music. If the song doesn't grab their attention in under 3 seconds, they're swiping on to the next thing.
Right.
Which is crazy. And from an artist standpoint, it can be very infuriating. It's like, why aren't more people listening to my record? And it's like, oh, it's just because they haven't seen it in their feed,
Right.
Touring today as well, in the early punk days, it was all DIY promoters and, just like, hey, if you get a band, come through my town, I'll put out a show, people will show up, I'll guarantee it. And now promoters and clubs are going like, well, what's the metadata? How many tickets can they sell? It's
Which is a
all,
funny statement, Like I don't think let me step on you. A lot of people do Instagram could sell a club. They've never played live. I don't think it
yep.
translates. I don't know if the numbers have been out there yet. That's why I ask you your opinion, because I don't know if some of these things kind of like negate each other. Like, yeah, there's algorithms, but then you got people like that are DIY and doing it stuff. This is kind of like a punk magazine, the show. I have all different artists on it. It's who I want on it. I don't get paid for it. I don't do it. This show is not just me. It's a community of who keeps watching and supports it. Because if no one watched it, I wouldn't do it. It's a community of
Yep.
music lovers like me. So that's a source that wouldn't have been there X amount of years ago. So there's other things that replaced. So other things have replaced them, but I don't. And it's more like a question I'm thinking too, because like, has one thing replaced the other in a way? Like back then, before Husker Du, where some of you guys were big, you still weren't going to get in the radio play. The record company still owned things. There was still payola. So until you were somebody's shining diamond, nobody got anywhere, and you didn't have access to get to other people because you could only use the radio, this and that. So I wonder if it's maybe helping as much as it's hurt it.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point. Podcasts like yours actually kind of, in a way, are the the new fanzines of the modern day, and which is why I enjoy doing shows like yours, and knowing that it's a chance for people to hear what I have to say and get to know the band.
It's a more real way too, though, don't you think? Because I mean, I'm sorry, like with radio.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I didn't go like I got a degree in music recording. I went elsewhere in my life with it. Like most musicians with music, it doesn't pay very well. But the point is, I couldn't stick in radio. I couldn't do it because I couldn't do that. The Scheisse thing and ask those two powerful questions and go to commercial. I'm like, but you have this
Yeah.
talented person in front of you. Why don't you ask something totally different? So
Yeah.
when
You know,
this
that,
came up
that,
as an opportunity, this got exciting for me. You know,
oh yeah. Nice. I like it. Yeah, and radio definitely has changed, like college radio in particular, you know, there probably are still a few college stations where whoever is sitting behind the microphone can play whatever they want. But even college radio now is kind of dictated to as far as like, what they should play or should feature. Uh, it's again, it's all driven behind the scenes by algorithms and BS like
you know, it's
that.
funny is a lot of those radio stations now will quote me or other podcasts. I'm just saying special. It's the artist. It's not. I'm not the draw. I know that. But have say you whatever. We'll grab an interview or a piece of it, and I'll find it on a college radio, on a rock radio station.
Oh, that's
They'll be
awesome.
taking those parts of the interviews that I wanted to do anyhow before because I wouldn't do radio because of that reason because they weren't doing those. So in radio, still picking them up now at times. You know, which
Yep.
or X amount of people, a handful watch it on YouTube because it depends on. I can't figure out the YouTube algorithm for age groups and who wants to watch what. So I have it everywhere. But then I'll be, say this does well on YouTube, or say it'll go, if not like all over, Spotify and iTunes. You'll hit all across Europe. Will hear you. So you don't know where it's going to go from one particular spot that you never had control over
Yeah.
before as an artist.
Yeah. No, and actually, that is an excellent point. The reach of a show like yours does have global reach, whereas uh, a local fanzine 40 years ago only had the reach of the local scene that it was writing about.
Exactly.
So that is a really good point.
So, I mean, to add up to anything differently for numbers? Probably not. I don't know. But I mean, are people are listening in Sweden? And I know I'm charting in all these European countries. So people are listening more even on the internet, that part. So my goal of getting artists exposed is succeeding. And hopefully it's going to keep going forward with you on this show.
Yeah, I
bring
hope
you some
so
more
too.
fans. Um,
Yep.
what about socials and ways to contact you and the band? So, whether fans want to reach out to you or booking people, what's the best way to kind of get in touch with you for different things?
Uh, yep. So at UltraBomb Music is our handle for uh, on Instagram, on X, and Facebook. It's at UltraBomb Music One.
Mm-hmm.
We do have a link tree with all of our information. We're booked by Atomic Music Group, James McLean out of the Toronto office, and yeah, I mean, basically, if you want to book us, definitely reach out to Atomic. If you just want to follow the band, we're on Instagram, Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
We do have
YouTube. They have a YouTube page.
Oh yeah, yes,
Let's get those
and we
numbers
have
up.
a
Let's get those numbers up for you guys.
yes,
Subscribe to
we
them.
have a YouTube channel. It's UltraBomb like 9986 or something like that. But
If you find
yeah,
UltraBomb, you'll see the guy bouncing around singing.
no, for sure. Yep. Yeah, and we're getting ready to release another video for this new record, probably in about a week. And yeah, that's been a lot of fun.
You said you may do a Hüsker song in there in the set. Do you lean towards the stuff that you did, the handful of songs you were able to sneak in, or do you do other songs? Are you kind of?
We've
I can
been
see both sides of that conversation.
right. A couple of songs that we have been playing quite, pretty much since the band started. Grant Hart's "Don't Want to Know If You're Lonely." It's Not Funny Anymore, which I sang, and New Day Rising, which is a song that all three of us wrote. And the reason I wanted to play, some of Grant's stuff is, Grant's not here anymore.
Right.
Obviously Bob still with the Bob Mold band still plays, his compositions. Uh, I just, want to keep reminding people how great of a songwriter Grant was as well. Uh, as far as things that I wrote with Hüsker, right now I'd rather concentrate on writing new material for UltraBomb.
I can respect that too. I can see everyone has their own different feelings. Like you're like, I did this work and I want to show it still because it's still a part of me. Or you know what, I did it and I'm okay with it, but I want to do this. So I was just kind of curious what school of thought you were in with performing those songs because you had actually brought it up earlier. You know,
Yeah.
and just for people to ask and know, it's Hüsker. It's Hüsker do. You say it wrong because it's Hüsker don't. It's Husker don't, but it's Hüsker do.
Yeah. It's interesting across Canada and in England. Quite often people say Husker do. Uh, but yes, it's Hüsker do.
I can imagine in Canada, it's not like they have that already in there when they say things. The Canadian accent, anyhow, the Hüsker would be way easier for them automatically. You know,
Yeah.
I know it was a big debate back in the day. Now it's kind of silly, but it's a funny thing that's to bring up to everybody. But Greg, I want to thank you, man. This is great. I've always loved your music. I'm digging your music now. I'm glad you can continue on doing it.
All right. I
People,
appreciate that.
check them out, support them, the music, the sites, see him in a show, and subscribe to his YouTube page. It's got some good numbers, but you need more fans on it. Watch
No,
those
for sure.
videos.
I would agree. Yep. And yeah, as always, like everybody says, like, comment, share, and
Yep.
follow or subscribe.
Everybody says that, but
it,
me,
it
I
it
stopped.
all it all adds up.
It does, and the people watching my show too. The same thing for me. 'Cause I always forget to say that. I'm like the
Yeah.
worst. I'm so lazy about it. All right, thanks, man. I
So
appreciate being on the show.
can I quick
Yeah.
throw
Oh yeah, yeah.
in?
Please. Yeah.
So UltraBomb will start playing live shows on May 22nd in Long Beach, California, at Alex's Bar. That is the first uh, of 9 shows through the end of May, mostly in California, with one show at Club Underground in Reno, Nevada. And in June of the end of June, we'll be doing a quick little Midwest run, starting at Chicago at Reggie's and then ending at the Turf Club in St. Paul, Minnesota, where we played our first show with Ryan. And Buddy's Fest in Tillsonburg, Ontario on August 7th. And we will be headlining the Nick Alexander stage, the side stage at Frank Turner's Lost Evenings on the final night in Dallas, Texas on September 27th. And more tour
Perfect.
dates coming for October. Should be on the East Coast in October.
That's what I'd like to hear. It's my birthday month. I'm on the East
Oh,
Coast.
right on.
That's what I want to hear.
There you go. Bob Mold's birthday month too.
Oh, there you go. So now here you go. Now you get an extra question now.
Okay.
Because the touring thing made me think about this. I could talk to you all day with questions. I'll have to have you on back again so we talk about gear. I love your tone. Being a chef and really being aware of health and eating and taking care of your body, going back into rock and roll and touring. How are you finding that balance of being on the road with not having as much of the healthy resources day to day?
It's
And getting older, your body's not as forgiving. I don't mind
right.
that.
No, it's always a challenge on the road finding good things to eat, healthy things to eat. There's always pizza. It's like you end up eating so much pizza. It seems like every venue you play, it's like, hey, we got your pizza. So, but I mean, you look. Number one, drink a lot of water, stay hydrated, and try to grab healthier options when you can. And that's just one of the challenges of life on the road.
You would think so because at this point that we'd be better because a lot of musicians now it's not the same as the 70s and the 80s. It's a lot of vegetarians, a lot of people are health conscious, a lot of people just getting older and they can't eat
Yep.
like that. So the demand is there that I think probably 95% of touring musicians would be like, yeah, I mean, I love pizza. I love pizza too, but I can't eat it all the time. I know.
Right.
Pizza doesn't love me as much as I love it. Let me put it that way.
Yeah.
But
Well,
you think there'd be a better way figured out for diets for musicians though?
Yeah, fortunately now there are definitely a lot more options out there for, vegan restaurants and or just healthy, you know, healthier options. You know, it doesn't always just have to be fast food and pizza. So you just have to kind of look around when you get into it to a place and find your good options.
Well said, well said. I mean, hopefully it'll keep getting easier for musicians. That's the worst part about being on the road is poor eating and poor sleep. That's not fun for
Exactly.
anybody. So
Yep.
take care of yourself, take care of your health, and be good. Thanks. I appreciate you being on the show, man.
Yeah. Thank you for having me on, Sean.
Thank you.